Welcome to Used Car Hacks, where I will teach you how to save thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of your lifetime on used cars. The first thing you should do when deciding to purchase a used car is get yourself an OBD code scanner. This tool is designed to fit into a car's OBD2 port and detect any problems that your car may have. These tools can range from $20 to hundreds of dollars. My advice is to not be too cheap when selecting a code reader. You should be able to get a good one for around $100. Code readers to look for will tell you the specific problems a car may have rather than just giving you a number that you will have to look up online to figure out what the problem is. It should also be able to test things like the battery, the alternator, and the fuel pump. This tool will save you a lot of time and headaches when it comes to purchasing a used car. It will also be able to tell you if your car will pass an emissions test, an important consideration when deciding to buy a used car. The one warning I will give you when buying a code reader is that the car you are thinking of buying must have an OBD2 port. These ports are available on most cars made in 1996 or later. To find out if the car you are looking at has an OBD2 port, simply Google the year, make, and model of the car you may buy along with OBD2 port to find out if it has one and where it is located. That way you can find it easily when you first test the car in person. When you do the check, just because something comes up bad does not mean that it is an automatic deal breaker. For instance, a lot of new cars may need a new battery if they have been on the lot a while, and other problems may have a simple and cheap fix, so doing a Google search on the part that may need replaced will help you determine whether or not it will be worth the trouble or expense to purchase the car. The second thing you should do before you purchase a used car is run the vehicle's VIN number through Carfax. This will tell you about any accidents the car has been in, what maintenance has been done on the car, and any recalls the car has been subjected to. When these checks are finished, it's time to visually inspect the car. First, check the body for any damage or rust. Depending on how much you want to spend on a car, you may have to accept that the body of the car will not be in pristine condition. If it is easily fixable or does not impede the operation of a vehicle, you should be fine. Then make sure that all the lights on the car work. If there is a bulb that is out on a car, that is not necessarily a deal breaker since bulbs are relatively easy and inexpensive to fix. Next, you should slide under the car to check for rust damage to the chassis and other parts. If the chassis has a light coat of rust on it, you could apply some rust remover to it. However, if it is rusted through, or parts like the axle, wheelbase, or the parts where they meet are rusted, that is a more serious issue. That is something that could make the car dangerous to drive or be an expensive fix that you may not have the money for. After the rust inspection, pop the hood and inspect the belts and hoses for weathering or cracks. This is also not an automatic deal breaker as hoses and belts can be replaced rather easily and cheaply. The next thing you should do is turn the car on. Re-inspect the engine compartment to make sure the engine runs smoothly and that there are no suspicious sounds coming from it. If you hear something that does not sound right, you can Google to find automobile forums geared to the specific make and model of a car that could give you a better idea of what the problem may be. With the engine running, slide under the car again and check for any leaks that the car may have. If there is a leak, try and find the source. If it is simply a loose hose, that could be a simple fix. If it is coming from another part, that could be a more serious problem. Now it is time to go for our test drive. Before you do, run through the gears of the car while the car is not in motion to see if the gear shifting is quick and smooth. If the shifting is rough, it could mean a transmission problem. If that is the case, I would disqualify the car immediately and not even bother to take the car on the road as it could be dangerous to drive. A transmission repair is also costly, so you're better off buying another car. Only now should you take the car out on the road. Test the shifting while out on the road. Also test the brakes to make sure there is not a lot of give when you press down on them. Test the steering to make sure that the steering is good and that the car handles easily and smoothly. The last thing you should do is find a parking lot that has a relatively empty area where you can park the car and do one more inspection without any danger to yourself. Leave the engine running and recheck under the hood and under the car for leaks again, since some leaks will not be evident unless the car has been running for a while. Lastly, check the exhaust while the car is running. Water coming from the exhaust could either be condensation, especially if the car has been sitting in a humid or a cold environment, or it could be a serious problem within the engine if it is a lot of water. Also look at the color of the exhaust smoke. If the smoke has a bluish tint to it, it could be that the car is burning oil. In that case, I would Google the year, make and model of the car to see if it is a common problem among those cars and what can be done to fix it. If the smoke is black, it is most likely the fuel injector, fuel pump, or the fuel-to-air ratio that is causing it, but your code reader should have already detected that kind of problem when you tried your code reader on the OBD2 port earlier. We are now done with the test drive. Before you purchase the car, there are still many things you need to consider that I will go over in future videos on this channel. Please subscribe and comment down below, and thank you for watching.